Have you ever looked at a photographer's work and thought, man, I am never going to be able to achieve that? Well, most of us have. In fact, today I want to propose a different approach to your photography that is much more sustainable and will actually help you to reach that goal of becoming a very, very good photographer. Let me show you what I mean. Oh, by the way, I'm testing out a new camera today, so we'll be talking a little bit about that too. So why am I making this video? Well, for two main reasons. First of all, I'm trying out a new camera, so rather than giving myself really high expectations, getting used to a new camera, my only goal today is to literally just not suck at photography. Second reason is that this winter just gone, I suffered from horrific imposter syndrome. I was comparing myself to other photographers loads. I was looking at their work and I was thinking, why on earth isn't my work getting any better? Where's my progress that I'm not making? And as a result, I lost all interest in photography whatsoever. My motivation was completely gone. I was forcing myself to go out to keep this channel alive and to keep the hobby alive. So I decided I was either time to give it up or change my approach, changing my perspective on trying to just not suck. Well, that helped me immensely. Right, I have a confession. I actually went to film this video yesterday morning, very early, and the conditions were so good that I completely neglected filming. I did try, and I did get footage, but I hadn't realised that the microphone I was using had gone completely flat. But the pictures you're going to see are from yesterday, because I got some absolute corkers. I was in the right place at the right time. And that's my first point about not sucking. A large part of being good at outdoor photography and nature photography is not about the skills you have or the equipment you have. It's about putting yourself in the right place at the right time. You see, if you're in a really good location and there's good light, good conditions, you'll probably get a very good photo, even if you're not a particularly good photographer or you're a beginner photographer. Don't put down to not being a very good photographer the fact that you just haven't been in the right place at the right time. Sometimes you have to make those sacrifices to get there. Now, I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning to get to my location yesterday. And was it worth it? Well, I'll let you decide. So the new camera I'm testing out is actually the Lumix G9 Mark II, and this is a camera I've been curious about for a long time. As regular viewers of my channel will know, I've been looking to upgrade my system because I've outgrown my last one, and I've been very curious about going micro four thirds for very specific reasons. So I'm used to using the crop sensor camera anyway, and I have got a full frame camera which I'm filming on now. But the crop sensors never really bothered me, and the micro four thirds sensor is smaller than that, but in this camera it's significantly better than my crop sensor in my Canon 250D. Now, obviously there are quite a few disadvantages to having a micro four thirds camera, which I'll go on to talk about as I use this camera. I've only got it for a few weeks, but there's also a lot of advantages. And those are the things that I'm really curious about. Oh, and by the way, I should probably say this isn't my camera. Lumix has sent this to me to test out. So if you want to know my honest thoughts on it, then subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be doing a full review on this, an actual used in the field for a while review. And it'll be honest, because it's going to help me to decide if this is going to be the camera I buy with my own money. So yeah, watch out for that review. So I am currently in the process of trying to photograph some birds. That one on the screen isn't one I've just got. That's one I got earlier, as in earlier this week. They're very shy up here today, so I'm not getting many photographs of birds. Doesn't mean I'm not going to give it a good go. You see, I've been very curious about doing some wildlife photography to see if it's my sort of thing. I love doing landscape photography, but I fancy trying something a bit different, and that's where the Micro Four Thirds system really comes into its own, because, hang on a sec, the sun's getting a bit bright. As I was saying, that's where the Micro Four Thirds system comes into its own, because this lens that Lumix sent me, the 100 to 400, it's so small. I say small, it looks big, but it's not. That's a full frame equivalent of 800mm of zoom. Now, of course, you have to take into account that by doubling the millimetre length, you also double the aperture. Still lets in plenty of light, but when it comes to blurry backgrounds, they're not as blurry. But at 800mm of reach, you still get plenty of background blur with wildlife photography. So that's what I'm trying out. I haven't formed an opinion yet, but it has opened up a whole new world of photography to me. Watch this space. Another excellent way of making sure that you don't suck at photography is by trying to beat yourself, not other people. If you're constantly trying to make your photographs look like somebody else's, then that strips away any of your originality and personality that you put into your photos. Now, this doesn't mean that you should leave your mistakes in, but by trying to be somebody else, you never develop your own style, and you'll never have an ounce of originality. Which, believe it or not, the world of photography really needs at the moment is original thinkers, people who are up and coming and who sort of make photography their own work. There's a lot of copycats out there, and unfortunately that means there's a lot of just photography that's all the same. If you're just trying to be somebody else, your work won't stand out in the sea of work that is out there. Right, I'm giving up on the wildlife photography now. The birds are too shy and I haven't got the patience this morning to do it, so I switched to the much smaller lens, 12 to 60, which is equivalent to 24 to 120. It's a tiny little lens, look at it, so small. Considering that's got 120mm equivalent of reach. Very nice. And another feature I like is that this has got a Leica profile. So a monochrome profile that you would get in a Leica camera, which if you're into black and white photography, which I am for portraits in particular, is a really beautiful looking file. It's only in JPEG, but you can also save a RAW file as well, so you've got the option of both if you do shoot in that, which I think is a lovely little feature. This is just about the creepiest forest I've been in a long time. All the trees are weirdly spaced out, and it's gives you a real eerie feeling. It's like being stuck in a room with someone that exclusively shoots film on Leica cameras. Makes you feel a bit weird inside. And the absolute best way of not sucking at photography is unfortunately a bit of a cliche, but it is to not give up. Now stick with me on this one, because there are a lot of you who are photographers now. Maybe you're in a beginner level or you're a bit more advanced, but all of you and me will go through plateaus in our photography. There'll be periods of time where we feel like we haven't progressed in a long time, we haven't got any shots that we like, maybe we're not enjoying it as much as we feel we should, and that happens to absolutely everybody. The only thing that's going to make you a better photographer is working through those periods. They are going to come and you need to be prepared for them, but if you do work through them, then one day, I promise you, you will be the photographer that other people look up to. Do you know what the difference is between you and the person that you think is an absolutely fantastic photographer? Very likely it's only the amount of hours that they've put into photography. That's the only difference. Everybody I know who is a photographer didn't start as a good photographer. They eventually became one after years and years of practice. And that'll be true of you too. In fact, if you're a photographer and you're watching this video, comment below how many years that you've been doing it. Because I guarantee there is a whole variety of people who've been doing it a long time, a short time, but no matter who you are, I can almost guarantee you feel like you have progress to make. Anybody who is a serious photographer knows that there's always improvements they can make in their photography. And as a result, I think that's why it's one of the best hobbies in the world, one of the best passions in the world, because it never really comes to an end. That's something I like to say on this channel a lot, because if we could complete photography, then that'd be really boring, wouldn't it? So honestly, you don't suck at photography, you might just need to change the way you look at it. If you want to see my thoughts on this, then make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time.